Okay.
The ear doctor.
All right, back once again. This is the doctor's office, and today I have a special guest. This sister right here, I met her back one time. I think I was DJing an event with Masiki Scales, Common Ground, and it was a farm. I was like, yo, we about to go DJ on a farm or something. It was, they had all types of different plants and everything out there. So I'm out there, we spinning. They got a fire in the middle, burning and shit. I'm like, yo, this is dope. And then the sister comes, and I'm like, yo, it's my birthday month. I'm like, yo, we gonna have a good time. She comes, it's her birthday. Scorpio energy is in the building. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Strong.
So it was a beautiful thing. We met back then, and it was cool from there. Then we just did the veggie taste.
Yes.
Yes, the veggie taste was
amazing.
Dope. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, she was like, yo, I got a party. I need a DJ. You up here spinning now. So we hooked up, and now we talking about doing that gig, doing some more business. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big ups to Honey Suckle Moon. Word.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad that you could come up in here because I was like, I see you around all the time. We never really had a conversation, and then just paths crossed again, and now look at we right here.
When it's time.
Yeah.
That's how I always see it. When it's time, we'll get a chance to do our thing.
And you just came from doing the One Music Fest. How
wow,
was that?
Man, One Music Fest was phenomenal to say the least. A lot of energy, like just being able to, be in the company of so many beautiful black and brown people and, all positive vibes, so many different black businesses, some of the best acts from around the world, being able to dance with my daughter to Lil Wayne, being able to vibe out, with the Isley Brothers and Ari Lennox and, SWV with my homegirls and, like we going all the way back to 92, 93. So Weak and Rain Down on Me and all of that good stuff.
So who was there at the concert? You was like, yo, I know like Isley Brothers, but anybody else you was like,
yo, who I really wanted to see was Burna Boy.
Burna Boy, how was that?
Yeah. I don't know what happened to Burna Boy. Like, Burna Boy did not come out.
Oh.
I have no idea what happened to Burna Boy, and I am, like, still kind of blown away. So, like, I'm talking to my African angels right now, praying that he will show up on tomorrow night's WizKids show. Yeah, like, that's what I need in my life right now.
Man, that Afro beat is hitting so hard right now on the major.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because they figured out something, right? So you get Jamaica, which is like so deeply rooted within the reggae culture and its impact across the globe. And, having producers on the Jamaica side connect with producers over on the West African side, namely Nigeria. And they revamped this Afrobeat sound that Fela birthed, right? And they put some R&B in there, and they put hip hop in there, and they created this sound.
It's a world sound,
and you feel the parallelism, between reggae, dancehall, and Afrobeat right now. So it's really like a global drum beat at this time, and so I'm here for it.
And I always tell like rappers, like the biggest music in the world is dance music. As long as you can dance to it,
yes.
That's what we need, because I always say dancing is spiritual.
It's true.
It's a very spiritual thing. Now, I was also reading up on the things you do, and I came across this one word. Everybody knows that I mess up words all the time.
Apothecary.
Apothecary. Okay, and the definition I seen for this is a person who prepares and sells medicines and drugs. So you're a drug dealer.
Wow. My mom raised a drug dealer. Okay. I would say that,
you be whipping the work.
I definitely have yams everywhere, but it's a plant and mineral based movement, of course. But I can honestly tell you that from the time that I was a toddler and was old enough to like go outside, with little friends like 3, 4 years old, hanging out outside. I always had a certain curiosity and attention to nature and, like different like little wild flowers and herbs that were growing. Like before I even recognized that there was a thing called an apothecary or an herbalist. I was already out there, tasting it and, working with it. So I've always been a handcrafter. Like mud pies, working with plants essentially is still very much so similar to where I stand professionally. And so it's one of those things, even though I think your question on purpose is going to come later in the conversation,
Yeah.
I feel like I've always known my purpose innately, even when I didn't know that was my purpose. So, I've always
walked into
lived it.
Yeah.
I did. And very same thing with taking care of the skin. I've literally taken care of friends and family members' skin on different levels since I was in single digit age, about 7 or 8 years old. I really got an interest in taking care of the skin and, okay, what's that? And what happens when your skin gets cut? Because, I remember back when I was like about 7, I was outside playing, and I'm originally from Louisiana. And so, yeah, born and raised, the Northern Bayous is my territory. But I was playing in our yard, and there was like a couple of slabs of, like the zinc fencing, it's like the zinc, what do they call it here in the U.S.? It's like the slab of like the corrugated metal.
Okay.
It was just like in my backyard, and somehow I ended up like slicing my knee on it. And so that was the first time that I really had to be attentive to wound healing. And so, yeah, I've been in the skin thing and in this herb thing for some time now.
Your skin is glowing, I must say.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, so what's some of these products? I seen there was a honey butter belly,
Oh,
different things.
Yeah.
You got all types of stuff over here.
Yeah, and this is just a few of the items. I've got some moon belly butter, and this is some dreadhead mane pudding. We'll talk about this here in a second, but just open it up and smell this one, right? So this is moon belly butter in the guava jelly infusion. And so that's literally one of about 20 different aromatherapy infusions that you can get in that particular body butter infusion. So that's one of the first products I ever created.
And you got the good stuff in here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The
Grapeseed, almond, shea, right?
Okay.
The plant and floral
I like it.
essences. Yeah, and so like you end up getting.
Is this the tester or no?
You can totally get into some of that if you like, because
I
people
just
need to
wanna-
understand how smooth it is, right? Right? Some people say that it's smoother than butter, even though it is butter. And why don't you go ahead
that smooth
and make
piece.
that one your own?
Ooh,
Like
thank you.
add that one to the
I got
arsenal,
some
right?
You better get yours.
Absolutely. And so this one is another one that I'm really proud of as well, because when I first got into the African body care zone, one of my dearest elders, he's now an ancestor, Brother Bandeli Tahimba, out of Dallas, Texas, had this Pan-African bookstore and retail shop called Pan-African Connection.
Okay.
And the way that he found me was I'd just come to Dallas area in 96. 97, I organized my first poetry and art show. And back then, you had to send out press releases to all the radio stations, all the TV stations. And so the lady that I partnered with, who had this art gallery, had a phenomenal press list, right? Like she had what people would want in a major city, right? And so I had all of the newspapers. So, everybody newspapers, black-owned newspapers, all of the news networks, all of the radio stations, and I just sent out these press releases to everybody that was on her list. And Brother Bandeli came after a couple of shows. He said, "Hey, sister, why don't you consider bringing this to the Pan-African Connection, and we can start doing some political organizing along with this. I see where you're going, but hey, we need to put this political side of it. You need to know who certain African revolutionaries are to carry you forward." And so evidently he appreciated my contribution on that side enough to where he began to teach me the fundamentals of having your own Black culture business.
So would you say this was the beginning of your path of enlightenment or what?
I would definitely say that was my path of enlightenment's origin as it relates to being an African. As it relates to being a goddess, I've known that
Whoa.
I tapped
Speak
into
that,
my
talk that
goddess,
talk.
from about age 7, I found
Word.
her,
Okay.
and it was very dynamic. And I understand now that it was really an opportunity of salvation because, like once a child becomes 7 years of age, that's kind of when they realize whether they're going to be a good person or a bad person. Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. And so I decided to go in the realm of the good. And so by the time I met Brother Bandelli, got on a cultural path with him, he was the first person to really instill in me my African identity. And so I owe that part of myself to him for sure. And as time grew, I essentially was doing African cultural business. He had a second location that was in downtown Dallas that just so happened to be one street over from the building that I managed. And so my former life has a real estate component. Okay. So I've had a real estate brokerage. I've done property management with historic and loft buildings. And so, I know a few things, right? Yeah. And so I managed his art gallery downtown, ran my real estate business from out of there. And, they say that, when the student is ready, the master will show. And literally, he came, gave me like this big bucket of shea butter and like a big black soap cake and was like, hey, Sister Moon, take this home and see what you can do with it. And I had no idea that I was literally getting ready to undergo one of the biggest things that ever happened to me. Like total spiritual change. Like, I could not work the way that I worked before. I could not, date and build family the way that I would have before. I totally went on a 9-month sabbatical. A lot of silent time came through that. And when I did resurrect, I literally came back with recipes that started being spoken to me. And when that happened, that's when I knew that it was a path that I was not going to be able to get off of. And so, when you start considering, really tapping into your natural self, tapping into spaces of well-being, if you're really about doing it, for the sake of healing your community, healing yourself, healing your family, is not something that, you just kind of do for 2 years. And so 16 years later, I'm still here. I have not had another job since that black soap and shea butter was put into my hands, right? And so now I've got over 40 unique products and over 500 customizable options when you start thinking about my body butters, massage oils, aromatherapy mist, body scrubs, and candles. And so like it's so much goodness within the line. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man.
Please.
I never count how many clients I have. Like, I never look at my numbers because I think that it would be too intimidating for me to really look at how many people I have to take care of around the nation.
So that's funny. It's because it's like it's a blend of business and spirituality.
Absolutely.
Where sometimes people look at you like, oh, they're spiritual, they don't know much about business maybe. But you, like you're saying, you're doing real estate and doing all these other types of business, managing stuff. It's like you got the business mind, you got the spiritual, and it comes together. And like you say, you don't even worry about the numbers as long as you put forth the work and the results.
Essential.
So with that said, this was in Texas. What brought you to Atlanta?
Honestly, when I had about 2 years, maybe about a year and a half into this business, so many days of hardship, right? Because you got to keep in mind that's back when like Bath and Body Works was like really popping. Victoria's Secret body care area was really popping. That's what all the brothers wanted. That's what all the sisters was wearing for the brothers. And so when you start looking at these organic colors and these yellows and browns and greens, and they're like, oh, that's outside of what we think body care products should look like, so to speak, right? And so I felt like Dallas was really trying to starve me, you know, at an economic and at a spiritual level. And once I got hip to that, I got the hell up out of there. I really did. And I was on this trip. It was so interesting. My first trip to Jamaica was October 2007. I went for my birthday. And
real quick, let me tell you something. Whenever I want to travel, I just look at her Instagram because she's everywhere. Continue.
Thank you. You know, I think that, you know, all of the Jamaican passport stamps, you know, really kind of show, you know, where my spiritual home is, at least here in the Western Hemisphere. Okay. I feel very rooted and, you know, just like I feel comforted by the Jamaican culture. And so I was there. And I was flying back, and it was interesting because I saw Neo in the airport. And, you know, when you have those red-eye flights, you don't care what you look like. You know, you don't have on a lip gloss. Like, for me, my lip gloss is my makeup, you know. Yeah. So I ain't have on no lip gloss. I ain't have on nothing like that. And Neo looks at me, and he winks at me. I'm like, okay, it's going to be a good day today, I see, right? It's going to be a good day. And my mother called me, like, right after that. And she was like, baby, because they didn't have WhatsApp back then. That's like 07, all right? She's like, baby, I don't know what exactly you sent to your cousin in Atlanta, but she and all of her friends at the law firm are going crazy over your natural products. And if I were you,
I hightail it.
I would seriously consider moving to Atlanta. And so that was November 2007. And by January 2008, man, I literally packed up whatever I could in my little Mitsubishi Galant. It was starting to turn into a hoopty at the time. No emissions, no registration, no insurance. Because when somebody or some place tries to starve you, like starvation is real. Yeah. But I drove 12 hours from Dallas to Atlanta on Interstate 20 and drove that vehicle for 3 years in Rockdale County before I got caught up with Rockdale County. And so it's like, okay, I know I'm blessed. I wasn't even driving on the day that like I had to relinquish my vehicle, but it just showed me like just all that grinding, driving to the city, going to Apache Cafe, going to Little 5 Points, going to all of these cool spots in the city, Metropolitan Lofts parties, and, you know, just all of this goodness being protected, all in the name of getting people to know about my wellness product line.
Yeah, because it seemed like you've been down here for a while. I've been down here since 94. Freaknik brought me.
All right, and, all right.
It's just like when like you say, we go to certain spots. It's that certain energy of different people you gonna come across that's on your same vibration, and you were out there. What? Let me ask you this: your style is mad fly. Where did you get your sense of fashion from?
Thank you. I would definitely say my mama has always been stylish. She learned from her big sister, who is my auntie. I had, I had a couple of cousins that would travel down from Chicago. Because I remember being about 4 years old when I got my first pair of false eyelashes. So, like I don't have to do a lot of things right now because I'm like, I did that when I was a toddler, you know? And so it's like I've always had, very beautiful women around me, women with big hair, women with big eyewear. And, they had a very authentic sense of style. And so...
and this is in Louisiana.
This is in Louisiana. Okay. And so, I take that Southern lady, with like that global chic.
Yeah.
And, I just kind of like mash it up today. Like, I don't know. I just flows.
Just do it.
I see it and I feel it and I be like, that's for me.
And you know what? We mad hip hop. Like
yes,
I know
truly.
you are a hip hop head.
Seriously.
So it's like we always was like, don't bite our style.
Yeah.
Don't bite our style. So it's always you want to look different from the other person.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So. And I shop in places that, maybe some of the sisters might not shop at, and so, I'm not afraid to have some things made, and I buy fabric,
Ain't nothing like some custom stuff.
Exactly.
Because you helping out somebody, giving them some money, and then you getting what you want.
Exactly, yeah. And so, the authentic flavor, what people see, how they describe it, and then on the flip side, I went into like a Journeys and I saw these fly Vans that I wanted. And I was like, oh, yeah, they clearly made these Vans for me because they're one of my signature colors. They got the flowers and the bees. And I'm like, yeah, come on. That's roots, trees and flowers energy. That's mine. Run that. And so, I love being able to create this visual energy that makes it really hard for people to forget when they come into contact with it. And, and honestly, yeah, it's me being me, but it's also a branding strategy.
Yeah. I see it because your hair, your different styles of your hair, and does that come from a Rastafarian culture, spiritual hip hop? Because a lot of people don't know. Some people got locks just because of hip hop. Like they might have seen Das Effects or somebody like that. Was like,
I saw all that, like Das Effects, the Lost Boys. Right. Like I knew Mr. Cheeks was gonna be on my boyfriend's list. I was like, yo. And then it was interesting because like back in the mid 90s, I ended up meeting the pretty much entire Marley family back when they were still touring, like as a whole family. It wasn't Steven over here and Damien over there. Like I met them as like an entire family. And I've always loved Bob Marley. I had an auntie who introduced me to Bob back when I was in like 9th or 10th grade. And I'll definitely say Bob's energy sent me on a particular path that really opened the way to my knowledge of self. And so
wait a minute, you got to meet Bob?
No, I didn't meet Bob because no, Bob passed. But I've met people who met Bob. But I did meet Tupac.
Okay. Yeah,
and so I take that to heart, especially now being here in Atlanta, and understanding his impact here, across Atlanta, and like working with Malcolm X grassroots movement and different political organizations like that. Like the respect that I have for Tupac. And the respect and energy that he extended to me as a 15-year-old lets me know that brother really did move in righteousness.
So speaking of artists, who would you say is one of, I'm going to ask you this question. Who would say is one of your favorite hip-hop artists, R&B artists, and reggae artists?
Let's see here. R&B artists, like one?
Just one. Just one.
Just one?
I know it's so many.
It's so many.
I'm not saying your number one, just one.
It's so many. Let's see here. If I just like really like just had to like just pick one that had to like ride with me, because there are so many that I could name, right? Just like countless. But one that I could just pull into the crates and say, okay, you go with me on my ancestral journey. That would be Minnie Riperton. Yeah,
wow.
I'm a big Minnie Riperton fan, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and so I think that she is one of the first women to really break out of her shell, and just the societal shell, so to speak, and create sounds that we weren't used to hearing, and just really live a life that, when I listen to her, I can really get a great sense of the goddess in her. Like she deals with some things that, women were afraid to deal with in that time. And so I think that Minnie Riperton is like super dope.
Okay. I'll be balanced. I'll say Stevie Wonder for me.
Of course.
I know.
Of course. But they should have a mixtape. It should be like a mini Stevie
Oh, and then can we
mixtape.
get Donnie to just do the ad-libs?
Yes, can we put Dunny up in there?
goodness.
That's the sauce.
All right, so hip-hop.
Hip hop. Okay, I love Lauryn Hill,
Okay,
right?
Lauryn.
I love Lauryn, but there are so many
she
people
came
in
with a
hip hop. There are so many people in hip hop because I think about how I felt when I was seeing groups like, goodness, 3 Times Dope.
Oh,
You know,
that
Kid and
Nicholas
Play.
Ow.
You know, when I first heard Peach Fuzz, when I didn't know that was
KMD.
MF Doom yet, right? Of course, you know, I had that political influence, you know, by groups like Public Enemy. So by the time I got to Atlanta and I met Professor Griff, I'm like, oh my God, Professor Griff's number is in my phone.
Right?
Like, yeah. All right. So, it's so many in
Right.
hip hop
Yeah.
who I really, really love. I love Lady of Rage when she came out.
Man.
I love Cube, right? So, you know, NWA, Digital Underground, like all of them, like all hip hop.
Yeah.
When it started turning really violent, I'm a big Bone Thugs fan too.
Okay.
Like my daughter is also a big Bone Thugs
Boom,
fan.
boom, boom, boom.
All
boom.
of that.
Okay. What
All
about
of that.
what about any grimy type of like Mobb Deep?
Okay, yeah,
You get
love
any-
Mobb Deep.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, also love Master P.
Alright.
Love TRU.
Facts.
Right?
Like, she is from the North. She is from Louisiana. Stop playing. No
Love
disrespect.
all of that,
You know what I'm
right? Will not turn away from that.
doubt.
Love all of my good second line music. Love jazz. Because you didn't mention jazz because we hadn't gotten to reggae yet.
Yeah.
But I want to like just give a beautiful ancestral shout out to Alice and John Coltrane. You know, like everybody knows John Coltrane, but not too many people understand the majesty of Alice Coltrane. Like what she had to be spiritually and sonically to be his queen. Like just think about that for a minute. All right.
Make sure that is turned right there. And let me give me a little bit more of this wine.
So how is the Snoop Dogg wine? How is it?
I mean, it tastes like old grapes.
Oh, grapes. Okay,
I mean, you
little bit of LBC grape,
Yeah,
huh?
pretty much.
Okay,
you know.
okay.
You know, I love my hip hop, so I got to represent with Stupid. Like we were
Yeah.
saying, so you said a number of hip hop artists. I'm gonna put out there Tribe Called Quest. I just
Of course,
wanna-
and De La.
and De La,
Right.
You know, the whole native tongue.
Yeah, and then we can't forget about the hieroglyphs. You
Yes.
know, like
That was funny. I was just over my people's crib today, and we was big up to SP. We was talking about Casual. We was talking about Delta Homo Sapiens. We was talking about that whole
Absolutely.
West Coast
Yeah.
sound, where it still had the East Coast type sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
You had like Jay Dilla doing the production. But now it's from the D, so that's
man, look, I was
So
just
much
listening to Slum Village last week while I was in the kitchen making some products for One Music Fest. I was happy when I saw Slum Village come through. I was like, oh, is that how you're feeling? Okay, it's fantastic. All right. Yeah, and so, you know, it's so many different levels of energy when you're talking about who currently dominates the hip hop scene, right? And, you know, at one point it was East Coast. Then it was West Coast. Then when it came to the South, it was like the South was like turning everybody. It was like, oh yeah, you know, our Southern roots, and you
Yeah.
know, my people are from Louisiana and Mississippi, and yeah, we go down to Georgia and get the right size real estate transaction going on. Like you could tell that people from New York had to respect what was happening in the South,
definitely.
right?
South took the baton and they ain't let go. They still
Yeah, I
They
mean,
running.
and they're running so to the degree to where now it's actually increased into the film side of production, where now they're calling Atlanta Black Hollywood.
For real.
And you know why that is, right? Do you know why
I'm
they
in
moved?
the business. I definitely.
And so you know it was all tax related.
Yeah.
Right?
gotta
They
pay
were
it.
like,
Yeah.
what they were paying over there, they could come over here just like how people come from New York and buy 2-3 times as much real estate as the same value that they would pay for it in New York. And so it always comes back to money.
She's still on that real estate stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm going to get out of that one. Like, once a month, I literally talk myself out of becoming licensed in Georgia because it's like I've got such a powerful network, and the real estate game has changed since I was in it. And so I'm like, it looks super easy right now. But, you know, for what it's worth, I love being able to provide wellness to others. And I don't want to have to put on certain hats and confuse the way the money flows around me, you know, throughout my local community. And so if I had to choose between real estate agent and herbalist or apothecary, I would choose herbalist every time.
Apothecary.
Yeah.
My questions over here. So what kind of diet do you have? What started your diet?
Let's see. What started my diet?
And when we say diet, you know, basically that's how you eat, what types of food you eat. You know, you got pescatarian, vegetarian, vegan, meat, carnivore, whatever. So.
Yeah, I mean, and there's levels to it, right? And I don't think that any level should be judged. And I don't think that vegans need to be over here fighting with meat eaters. And, you know, because my whole thought is if you're going to be an angry vegan, what's attractive about the lifestyle to the meat eater? Right. And so judging in some areas you don't even need to be judging, right? And so it's super easy for me to move from the perspective of understanding that I am what I eat. So, you know, it's one thing not to eat meat, but, you know, I no longer eat Kit Kat bars. You know, I no longer am eating, you know, Little Debbie snack cakes. And so I let go of all the white sugar. Yeah, there's no meat in that. But, you know, the white sugar could mess around and be a bigger killer than the darn meat, you know?
And the lard and all that stuff. That's
absolutely. And so, you know, people don't think about lard in candy and snack cakes and baked goods.
And meat eaters, please stop being so defensive just because I tell you I'm a vegetarian or a pescatarian. It's not telling you something about how you eat. It's just like me telling you how I eat. It is what it is.
No, but it's about understanding that you are what you eat, but it's also about understanding what the system is doing to the food, right? And so if you are what you eat and they're pumping the different meats with various hormones, then guess what? Those hormones come into your body and could then potentially affect your own hormones. That's why we shouldn't be out here drinking cow's milk and giving our babies baby cow formula because guess what? That is foreign to the human body.
Yeah, I mean, you don't just go eating drinking milk from others, because milk
but from birth.
Yes, and milk is supposed to be nutrients to go into the next generation of that
species. Exactly. Mama's milk.
Yeah.
Right? And so how is it that we step outside of mama's milk to then give our babies something from an animal that we wouldn't even kiss if somebody told us to go kiss it, but then you tell the babies to go suck on the teat of a cow.
Yeah, and then learning about mucus. It's so much. For me, it was listening to hip hop, like Kara's one coming through talking about beef. What a relief.
Yes.
And different songs like that made me start thinking about it. And then parents passing from like heart attack, stroke, I was like, okay, let me not go that direction. So that with hip hop, it was pretty much for me like that's the direction I'm going.
Yeah, knowledge of self, because that's what you were learning in hip hop. You were getting more information. And then, you know, like I think about the heydays of, you know, the different African consciousness lectures, you know, when you had, you know, persons like Dr. Sabi, you know, really starting to like stimulate the minds of ones. You had Dr. Africa. You had Francis Cress Welsing, Ashra Kwesi, Runoko Rashidi. Yes. There were so many, you know, that came through, and you know, like I'm thankful that I saw Khalid Muhammad like with my own eyes.
Yeah, that's true. Being here in Atlanta, I ran into a lot of. I've been to one of Sabi's conferences back in the '90s. Khalid came to my crib one time before. One of my roommates was friends with him.
Yeah.
So I was
That's
just
powerful.
like, yo, bro. And then actually got to sit down at a table with him, and he told me about the bee story. And it's just like the power of bees and how they work as a community. It was just, it was powerful.
I'm happy that he blessed you with certain heights of energy. Yeah, so we have those who came before us, who sat with ones who came before them. And so, within our African tradition is the oral tradition. And there are certain things that, we're not even able to acquire unless we sit down and talk about it.
Let me ask you that. Do you have any type of daily rituals you do? Like to mantras or any type of daily things you do that you can let somebody else know, this is what I do, this is what gets me going to do what I got to do?
Yeah, two things. I definitely spend a huge amount of time in meditation, in nature preferably, right? So I go out in my backyard, I position myself in the direction of the sun. I allow the sun to kiss my first eye. I soak up those sun rays, right? And the stiller I get in nature, the more nature actually reveals itself to me. And so if you would see how the butterflies, the bees, the dragonflies, the hummingbirds respond to me, you would be able to see that, I've attuned my frequency to get very close to one that actually matches the frequency of nature when it's undisturbed. And so that is definitely the larger part of it. I garden, all of that goes back to that nature meditation, because when you're out there are certain lessons that you're gaining. Of course, planting the seed, you're going to get the fruit. Yeah. But what about when you're taking the time to do the necessary weeding, getting things out that you no longer need? And so all of that's part of a nature meditation. But the second thing that I do is I take what I'm sure would be mermaid-worthy showers. I pay my water bill so nobody ever has to fuss about the price of the water bill.
You said mermaid-worthy.
Baby, look, mermaid-worthy showers.
Just be swimming in there,
I'll
like
be
the
in
movie
it.
Splash.
I get serious prayers. I get so many different directives at a divine level. I'm writing in my mind. I'm harmonizing. I'm putting things together. When I'm in the shower, the water frequency goes automatically back to Oshun. It goes back to the currency energy, the Mami Wata energy, all right? And so when I'm in water, I know that I can actually attune myself as a water sign, especially to the power of water. Yeah, so I do that more than anything. I am still a member of my church at home in Louisiana. I never found another church that I wanted to pretty much spend my time with because I was able to find truths that go beyond the building. And so, yeah, I'm not within the limitation of what someone else tells me that my religion or my spirituality should look like.
Yeah. It can't be written in a book.
It can't be limited by man on any level.
In a language, especially this language.
Exactly. Now, if you get to the nature language, if you can decipher that, boom, you own one.
Well, let me ask you this. I see you coming along talking about you're going to do a podcast with your daughter. I have this question. What advice would you give a father to tell his daughter or give to his daughter?
First and foremost, to respect her goddess, respect her I am, know who it is that you are, and respect it to the degree to where you won't let anyone disrespect it on any level, not physically, not verbally, not energetically or spiritually, because, we can talk about what men will do to a girl all day long, but we seldom talk about what women intentionally seek out to do when they come across a pure feminine energy. And so I would say ensure that she protects herself. And the best way that she can protect herself is by you setting the example of protecting her first and foremost, and by right communication. Stay in her ear. Be in her ear more than her peers are in her ear. Be in her ear more than any other man could be in her ear. And let her know the princess that she is. And that's how you're going to come out with a queen.
You hear that, fellas?
That
Word.
part.
I'm taking that in.
Yeah. Respect her and let her respect herself.
And then wheeling around to wrap it up, like you said about purpose. You finding your purpose, what would you see? Is there a finish line as in saying, this is what I want? When I get here, I'll be not even happy, because you're happy doing it now. But,
yeah, I'm in it. I'm pretty deep in it right now.
But what is that next level you're looking at with your products, with what you're doing in life?
It always goes back to real estate, doesn't it?
It
always goes back to real
land.
estate. It's land and it's functioning space. You know, like if I can have a functional space to carry out my mission, then I'm good. And so, you know, like right now, I'm in a space to where when it comes to the U.S., I have to acquire a manufacturing facility. So I have to have somewhere where I can make all of my products in this comfortable space for me to build a team of production support. On the Jamaica side, it is to have a healing space that essentially functions as my retreat space for ecotherapy interested people. And ultimately, I would like that healing space to bridge with the Rastafarian community there, because here during the pandemic, I realized that there was a deficit of wellness and care for Rastafarian elders. And so I've been just really kind of, you know, sitting with the notion of what a Rastafarian wellness center and care zone could look like, you know, having a few physicians go over and, you know, do residencies for a couple of months and like really look out for ones, you know, that may not have access or may not trust the access that they have as a third world country.
What kind of music would you have in the background of
the wellness center? Oh, it would totally be nature and spa sounds. And there's actually a location that I'm looking at right now that I'm in the process of manifesting. I feel it speaking to me. I feel the energy, and it's literally about 30 feet from the ocean. And so, you know, there's no louder sound than the ocean herself, right? But, you know, you would also get some good chronics, you know, some Kabaka Pyramid, some Protege, some John 9, you know. But I also have a thing, you know, for the Afrobeat. We talked about a little bit earlier. So, you know, I like Tiwa Savage. I like Burna Boy and Wizkid, of course.
Get a little Diggable Planets in there.
Oh, yeah, you can totally get some Blowout Comb off in there. You could get some Arrested Development.
I'm telling y'all, she is a hip-hop head. For real.
Like, seriously, you know, there are some things in there that I know would be different if it weren't for hip-hop. Like, hip-hop really brought it full circle for me.
Last question. Versus, who you got? Tribe Called Quest, Outkast.
Oh, versus. You know what? Like, I'm one of those. I just be wanting it all, right? I'll sit there and I'll cheer for both teams.
Facts.
But what I would do is I would curate a playlist for both of them.
See?
That's how I would manage that situation. And I would clap them both up.
I think that would be one of the dopest right there.
It would be a vital.
Put it together, Swiss. Put it together.
Yeah, we need you.
Yeah.
We need you to do that.
So, all right. I appreciate you coming through. Please make sure you let everybody know how to contact you so they can get these products. This is super smooth. I am not fronting, y'all. And it smells great.
Thank you.
So how can they contact you?
All right. And so we can actually just go with the fundamental Google. You can
Yeah.
Google Honey Suckle Moon, or you can go to my website. I am honeysucklemoon.com. You can catch me on all of the social media platforms at Honeysuckle Moon. And like you can like catch me at the right festival. You can catch me out here in these Atlanta streets.
She be out here.
I've got the Roots, Trees, and Flowers spa truck, and I'm sure once this pandemic opens back up, we're going to be going strong with that. And so I'm super excited about that. People responded very well at One Music Fest to the spa truck.
Nice.
It was a lovely, lovely
Okay.
energy, right?
Yeah.
And so, I hope that they can catch me back here in the doctor's office with the ear doctor from time to time.
Hey, listen, I gotta find out what's going on with the real estate, the streets, what's going on with the earth. I gotta get me some more of this because I want to use this up. I already know.
Yeah.
So definitely, and we're gonna do some great things. So
I
let's
look forward to it.
yeah, let's manifest and make these things happen.
I love that.
Bam!
Boom.
This is the doctor's office. I catch y'all next time. This is Black Power Media. Yo, we out of here. Peace.
Peace.